this is the unpopular advice that I give a lot is get a job first.
I have this thinking that you always bait on young people, and I've seen you do that, including myself. So can you just tell me, like, what are the top reasons why you really like working with young people and give them chance to really actually get the exposure of understanding the industries and anything that you're involved in?
So I was born at 40. That's what white people do. You didn't know that? We come out of eggs.
Do you think there are like unspoken rules that women just follow for the sake of just being and wanting to exist in the sector they're in?
So if you're going to grow kind of beyond a beginner stage, you need to have people to understand finance. You need to have people to understand marketing and commercial. You need to have people to understand HR and ERCA and compliance.
Yeah. Hi everyone, welcome to Ajrit Podcast, brought to you by Addis Powerhouse. I am your host Rahel. I am the founder and director of Fox PLC. Today we want to shine a light on challenges, stories, and triumphs of young women founders in Addis Ababa. And this episode is going to be in English, so we apologize for any inconvenience, and we hope you understand, so thank you. Hi Amity.
How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you so much for coming.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Happy to be here.
How are you feeling?
Very good. Thank you.
Do you like the setup and everything?
I do. This is lovely.
Yeah. Thank you so much for making the time to come to Ajrit Podcast. You are the managing partner at Melela Partners. But before I say too much, I would like to give you a chance to tell us what you do. And I know recently you've celebrated 12 years of being here in Addis. So tell us a little bit more about your journey and what you've seen so far and what you've done.
Excellent. So I've been in Africa for 20 years and in Ethiopia for 12. Just as you said, recently had my lidet. I actually came to Ethiopia on the equity side, working for a private equity firm that had bought Awash wine, and was with Awash for about 3.5 years. That's where we met and where we had a lot of fun launching Gebeta wine as well as the Takeshino campaign, which is still running today.
Yeah.
Then briefly went into a little bit on the advertising and consulting side, while I was also incubating Komari Beverage, which I was the founding CEO of, and left that a couple months after we launched. Worked back and forth between Ethiopia and Kenya actually for a couple years in logistics and also running a wildly unsuccessful e-commerce company in Kenya. And founded Melela with my partners about 2 years ago with the intention of bringing the experience of people that had actually worked in the public sector and the private sector, but primarily the private sector, to support companies, both big companies as well as very, very small companies. So one of the key things for my partners and I is we're not your kind of standard consultants. We actually have run companies and run logistics and supply chain or commercial or kind of various aspects of companies before.
But I have this thinking that you always bait on young people, and I've seen you do that, including myself. So can you just tell me, like, what are the top reasons why you really like working with young people and give them chance to really actually get the exposure of understanding the industries and anything that you're involved in?
I think it's actually started working with kind of recent university graduates or students that were in university in Rwanda. Yeah. So actually my first company, this is a very long time ago. Yeah. I didn't want to think about how old you would have been. Anyway, but started the first company that I started, which I think is the first and not the second in order, was actually all with Rwandan university graduates. And one of the things that really excited me about working with them is that younger people tend to see things that maybe older generations don't see, whether it's in their own society or when they get the chance to go outside. So there's a lot of flexibility, there's a lot of eagerness to learn, and then there's a lot of a view on things, which can see things in a unique way as the way they are, but can also sometimes potentially see how they can change, right? Which is often, if you're running a company, you usually want to change something, right? You're trying to add value in some way. And that requires a change in thinking or a change in doing something so that you can create that value. And I think working with younger staff is a great way to tap into that kind of energy and to see how you can add things, whatever it is, if whatever industry you're in, how you could add things that might be able to change them in ways that other people don't see.
Okay. Because for me, I always wonder what your journey was like when you were young and, when you started working. So
I was born at 40. That's what white people do. You didn't know that? We come out of eggs.
Sometimes when you're young and if somebody gives you that chance, you will definitely make sure that you pave it forward somehow. And I just wanted to make sure that if you ever had the same experience when you were
definitely.
young as well.
Yeah. So both of my parents are teachers. They're actually both university professors. So they kind of was raised around a constant environment of teaching. And then I had great teachers and I had great mentors in my early career as well. A lot of people that took chances on me, whether it was when I was working in South Africa. I had an excellent South African boss that supported me in my first role when I was working on the continent. She was also tremendously funny and took no crap from anybody. She was very, very serious. She actually was an ex-ANC fighter, if you know South African history at all. And she ran a refugee camp in South Africa, which was a very interesting place for her to be. And she believed in giving back to refugees because she had been one herself in Angola during the war. And that was when I was very young. I didn't know anything. And I think also in your early career, you really are taking a lot of learning from people. And you often aren't contributing as much as you think you are. You think you are. And hopefully you're not making it worse. But that really is a time to learn and to ask for people to help you in your learning. And really build from there, and then you can start mentoring others and, as you said, paying it forward. For me also, from Rwanda all the way forward to today, there is tremendous contributions you can make while you're learning, but it also is a huge investment for anyone that mentors you, especially in a work environment where you have them as your employee or as your partner. There's a big investment there on both sides. And the more you learn and stay flexible, the more you can also teach others, which I really enjoy doing.
Yeah, cool. So let me bring you back to the moment you decided to be a founder. Maybe correct me if I'm wrong, but for me, I think you took that leap with Arada.
No, I have 2 companies in Rwanda.
Before?
Yes.
Okay, so
much before.
Take me to the moment where you decided that you want to start your own thing and you want to be a founder. What was that feeling like, or moment like?
Yeah, so I got into entrepreneurship before there was any words like founders or incubators or accelerators. It was just business.
Can I ask you, can we define what a founder is and an entrepreneur as well? Just to make it...
To me, there's no distinction.
Okay.
So to me, it's a fancy word that people came up with for something that is an incredibly difficult thing. Also something that not everyone wants to do. Not everyone should need to do.
Yeah.
And, I don't see a huge amount of difference between a listro with his own business and these little fancy
words.
Tech founders that are showing up everywhere, right? It's the same thing. It's you are taking risk on yourself and asking the world to buy the value that you're creating, right? Yeah. So there may be distinctions, right? I don't find a lot of that conversation particularly useful in what I do every day, so I don't engage with it a lot. But founder is the fun term now. So I guess I was the co-founder. For a while, I was just the CEO. So, but that's kind of the in language. So, for me, the first business that I started because I understood a problem really well. and I thought I could do it better
Okay.
than what I saw in the market, right? So the first company I worked with was in home decor and fashion, so which is also fancy words for baskets
Pretty
and
baskets.
woven jewelry and stuff. That one does sound cool, though. I'll own that one.
Yeah.
So, with a business partner of mine, as well as a lot of the artisans that we were working with in Rwanda.
How many were you?
So I had one partner who is she's also American, actually. And then we started out working with around 400 artisans. So some of them were in cooperative, some of them were independent. And then I actually haven't looked at the numbers in a while, but it's grown to incorporate a lot more cooperatives than that. Mm-hmm. But for myself and for my partner Sarah, it was really seeing that we could improve upon things in an industry that we'd both worked in. So we'd both worked in that industry as employees, mm-hmm. and then took the leap on that. And then similarly with the second business, which was a kind of very niche consumer research business. So looking at things like product development, worked a lot with actually telecom in Rwanda as well. It was realizing that based on the local networks that I had in Rwanda, I could bring something a bit different to how companies were looking at their research in terms of understanding problems, right? So we helped a lot of companies to understand the problems that they were trying to solve better. And it's the same kind of with Melela and also with Rada, is seeing a problem that's there and really trying to figure out if you can add more value, or if you can add more value to a specific kind of people. Yeah. For Rada, mostly young people, but also, it's very nice with some, whiskey or some vodka and stuff. It's also a mixer. Mixed, yeah. And so it's been less to me about actually being a founder in kind of the sense that a lot of people think it can be, mm-hmm. which is really about myself. I'm a founder. Okay. It's maybe one of the reasons why I actually dislike the word, is I think it's too inward. Founders, you really get a lot of navel gazing, a lot of kind of I'm great, and a lot of people here will tell them they're great, but it's not about you as a founder. It's about the problem that you're solving and the team you can bring together to do that. So I like the term entrepreneur. I also think that's a little bit fancy. It's just called business.
Just business owner.
Business owner. Yeah. It means I'm willing to take on the risk to do these things. Solve a problem. And to also figure out how to reduce risk for others, whether they're investors or your staff, mm-hmm. To really bring it in a way that you hope will bring you profit, but that also substantively does something for someone that they are willing to pay you for. Okay. Right? That's the fundamental of it. There doesn't need to be anything fancier than that. It's also incredibly difficult to do.
It is.
So
yeah, we're gonna talk about.
It's very tricky to do that. So it sounds simple, but it's that's the hardest part. Yeah. Right? Is doing something people actually want.
So all of the businesses succeeded and then you left, or do you have any challenges on all of those businesses that you've started with your co-founders, co-business runners?
So I mean, both of the Rwandan businesses are doing fine, and then I've had many spectacular failures.
Yeah, I want to
within
talk about
companies, and then also looking at I think for Melela it's kind of too early to tell, and we're also pivoting out of the consulting space right now. But that's less sort of because of our own success and more because it's not really my passion. Okay. I'm much more of an operator and a business owner than I am a consultant. Mm-hmm. I like to kind of do things myself and fix problems myself. So although I wouldn't say any of the individual businesses are necessarily failures, of course there's lots of failure.
Yeah. Because I think not a lot of people succeed in their first business. That's why I wanted to raise that answer of what are the things that you've learned? Could be your first business or any businesses that you've started that ended up not working out. What are the things that you've learned from those? And then we're going to come back to the successful ones, of course. Yeah, I would also say, I think when you think about kind of who's starting businesses and what businesses are failing, a lot of that comes from starting businesses when you don't know anything yet. Okay. Right? Although any kind of business can fail, and any entrepreneur can fail at any time in their career.
I think that because there's a lot of this romance around starting your own business, around being a founder, around ecosystems and all of this stuff, the failure rate is going to be significantly higher when you have younger founders.
Okay.
It just is.
Yeah.
So I got very lucky in the early companies I started. It was also industries that I did know quite well because I'd worked in them before.
Yeah.
And, I think for a company's success and to be profitable, there's a lot of skill sets that need to be there.
Okay.
And a lot of younger people don't have them yet. And they also don't yet know how to put together teams of people that do know how to that do have them. Right? So if you're going to grow kind of beyond a beginner stage, you need to have people to understand finance. You need to have people to understand marketing and commercial. You need to have people to understand HR and ERCA and compliance. So that's a very difficult combination of things for one person to have.
Yeah.
And also earlier in your career, there's not a lot of skill base that you have yet anyway. So, this is the unpopular advice that I give a lot is get a job first. It's also very difficult to do in Ethiopia, right? But getting some experience before you try and start something out, that experience is invaluable. You could still fail. There's no reason why that experience naturally makes you less inclined to fail. But also, if you look at, the very successful business guys in Ethiopia, most are guys. There's some that are gals that don't necessarily come from family assets, right? So that they don't come from family businesses. Those guys tend to have one business that's a core business that's quite stable, that has been around, and they build a reputation on it. So a lot of the guys in tech have a very fancy product that's out, that's maybe consumer facing, right? So customers, individual people might be buying it, but their core business is very often a B2B software development company that is anywhere between 5 and 10 years old, right? So they're moving in areas where they're highly skilled and have skills that they can use on the development side. And then they're taking risks on these things that are much, much higher risk and much, much more expensive to do than I think a lot of people realize, because you're getting a lot of money coming in here to pay very young people to do very complex consumer products, very complex marketplaces, all of this, those are not fast revenue companies. Those can take a very, very long time to generate income from. And they're expected to succeed in that immediately. None of those things are possible. So the guys that are also doing some of the most interesting stuff in the market are ones that have a pretty stable core business, and the things that are kind of sexier from maybe the sort of founder or the tech ecosystem are their ability to take risk because they have something stable already. Right? So
kind of increases the chances of
they've learned from it. They also often have their own in-house tech capacity to do it, which a lot of these startups don't have, which is like a dirty secret, is that many of them don't actually have the technical skill set to be doing. Some of them do, right? But a lot of them, you're a tech startup and there's not that many tech people in it. So they're able to do it themselves. And they have the resources to potentially invest in things like the amount of marketing and commercial it takes, the finance people it takes to actually build something beyond 3 or 4 people, right? Which is where a lot of them are. And so I wouldn't necessarily say, failure. It's a lot of different pathways that you see people taking here. And a lot of the ones people don't talk about, things like that. Also people that are running successful family businesses. Right? That's another area where they're able to take risk, is because they have an established base there. That's great. These are people that are meant to take risks. But also expecting a generation that may not have those things to take the level of risk that's required in entrepreneurship might not be the best thing for them and might not be the best thing for the economy of Ethiopia either.
I think one of the things that I've really seen myself being in Addis and seeing the sector as well, you get a lot of push for young people to be entrepreneurs as well. And I'm just asking because it contradicts a lot of the things that is happening in Addis right now. You have a lot of ambitious young people that are out of options, I would say, at this point, and because of the economy that we're having. But at the same time, you also have ecosystem enablers that are pushing the idea of we can be able to assist you, but
Mm-hmm.
so little to have seen on the ground.
Mm-hmm.
So, as someone that is young, and as someone who wants to also explore this side of sector, what would your advice be? Also, what have you observed in general?
Yeah, no, I would say also when you're talking about kind of asking this generation to take on a lot of entrepreneurial risk, a lot of that also, there's a lot of factors in the society that are driving job creation, whether that's job creation is creating an economy where entrepreneurs can sell their products, or whether or not it's creating just generally formal sector employment. And that involves a lot of different actors, right? So this is in no way to criticize, a younger generation for the job market as it currently exists. There's a lot of factors at play, right? Everything from finance institutions, government policy, etc., that creates that. Also, the global economy, right? We've had COVID, we've had a lot of things that are making it more difficult for societies to create jobs at the moment. Let's say that. I think for the younger population, there's one thing the market will always tell you, which is the truth.
Yeah.
And so ignore ecosystem enabler, ignore your own ego. Are you doing something that people will pay for? And at the end of the day, it doesn't matter how much money is dumped into it. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters unless you have something people are willing to pay for. Yeah. And unless you have found that, you don't. You're going to really struggle. But what I would also say is looking at things where, potentially starting a bit smaller than what a lot of the startups that I see talk. Getting a few clients, learning from those clients, building something that may actually add value to the market. Because formal employment may be more difficult to find. And also really, really trying, if you can, to get experience somewhere, even if it's miserable. There's a lot of workforce changes between the generations at the moment. So, but really trying to find things that help you figure out if and when you'll be able to add value in a way that you can charge for, I think. And there's a lot of different pathways to do that. There's, internships, there's more education, there's, just experimenting with what you're doing on TikTok or in tech. So there are pathways to it. Do I think it's easy? No. And I don't think it's likely to get a lot easier in the near term future. Yeah. Anywhere in the world, actually, not even Ethiopia. But I think things are getting harder for us all at the moment.
Oh yeah, I think it's a very good advice. Volunteering for free is something that I think anyone can do.
We get a ton, and they show up, and then they never come again.
Yeah.
So we get a lot of energy.
Yeah.
I also don't like to do free. I prefer to always compensate within the programs that I have. Yeah. But we get a ton. Reach out. Either they ghost us on the phone call.
They ghost you.
Or they don't show up the first day. So I think there's also, a little bit of disconnect between the work that you have to do and the sacrifices that you may have to make now.
Okay.
And what people like to complain about. I know a lot of employers that have had this issue. And we just started saying yes to these people that offered to come. And yeah, it's not, people sort of what they say and what they do are a little bit different sometimes when it comes to that.
Wow. Ghosting is not only...
We have paid people ghost as well. So we have yeah.
But you're not the first person that said this to me. So I've heard this before as well. So maybe we'll talk about it on another episode, or on the use ethical way of working or professionalism, something that definitely needs to... I think something happened after COVID. Honestly, I don't know. I think for me, the talent pipeline has somehow disconnected. Because if you see us, that how much we value the work. Even in university years, we used to, take it seriously. So maybe, it's something that definitely...
well, and also, I totally understand if you have a paid job or if you have paid opportunities to pursue.
Yeah.
The issue that I have is when you come... And also, we're very clear about this. We want a certain amount of time, or we'll put you on a certain project, and in that, which is designed for flexibility. Also, if you don't want to come, just say you got a job. right? It's the kind of disappearing or not doing what you have agreed to do that I think a lot of employers find frustrating. But, it also is a difficult time, and I'm sure not everyone has that experience. We haven't had the best of luck lately with the people that offer to come for free.
Okay. Yeah. Well, we're definitely gonna discuss it some other time. But just coming back to Addis in general, the way how things work, how is it being a woman founder? How's really shaped your business, or do you see you being a founder and your gender somehow
just a CEO.
correlated?
You can just say CEO.
CEO as
Thank
well.
you.
So it's still Addis Ababa. There are certain things that we know, the reality of it. I just want to hear it from your perspective. How was your experience like in general, having a business in Addis?
As a woman, or as a
answer it in
human?
both maybe, and then we can go deeper.
Okay.
I don't want to limit your
Okay.
experience. I just want to cover how is it like running a business in Addis, because you've been here for 12 years now.
Mm-hmm.
It's different when you're employed, and it's different when you have your own business. So I just wanted to cover like having your own business in Addis. What does it look like?
I think for anyone with a business in Addis, in particular, probably doing something in a sector like manufacturing, which is what Komari is you really, really need to have a very good team. We had a very, very good team at Komari, and we also had a team where everyone brought a different kind of skill set. So we had experts in finance, we had experts in the marketing and branding, we had experts in the kind of HR and kind of the government relations. So, you really, I don't know many people that succeed in Addis without having good teams themselves, and also a very good network, and not just a network of people kind of to be friends with, but a network that also will help you in your business in very directed ways. I don't know if anyone could succeed here without that. It's true everywhere in the world, but I would say Ethiopia in particular. I think right now there's a lot of changes. Like, this is definitely one of the most difficult years for anyone in business in Ethiopia since I've been here. Because a lot of the changes that are happening, particularly kind of in tax regulation, etc. I was actually just on the phone a couple minutes before this podcast with a guy. Many companies, kind of very, very OG in the entrepreneur space. It's crazy. Like, he's been doing this here for probably 20 plus years. I don't want to age him. Anyway, but he's older than I am. And, it's getting, it was never like particularly easy on that side here, but it just really does seem as though it's getting more difficult. And I understand from a policy perspective where that need to kind of increase the tax base is coming from. But it's just the reality on the ground is just incredibly difficult. And, regulation is getting harder. Things are getting harder for everyone. So at every level, when you're interacting with government, it's more difficult than it was. But that also is because there's a commitment to try and bring about this long-term reform. So I think what a lot of us are hoping is this is kind of the medium to short-term pain that will bring gain through real benefits in the long term for Ethiopia overall.
So I guess I just want to talk about like the actual problems that we're facing right now, but besides tax, because tax is obviously the main one. But in general, for someone, maybe I understand because it's a shift. It was a shift for you from what you've been doing, which you said previously. Like, it's always good to work before you start your own business. But there are also on the ground problems that we constantly face as to the Ethiopian market, because it's so vibrant and dynamic. You don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. In a way,
not though. I think actually Ethiopia is not a particularly dynamic market.
It's not. Please do inform me, enlighten me.
I mean, what would you say are examples of things that are dynamic here?
Dynamic in a sense of.
By the way, the young population is dynamic.
Okay,
I'm not saying that they are not dynamic, but in terms of kind of adoption of innovation or things like that, I would not say Ethiopia is particularly dynamic.
No, not in adoption,
Okay.
obviously. I'm saying as to like it's not predictable.
That's true. Yes, I will agree.
So
if you want to say that in place of dynamism, yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Let's correct that as not being predictable. So
Mhm.
how do you make sure as an entrepreneur that you somehow you can't, since you can't predict a lot of things here, how do you make sure that you stay ahead in scenarios that are not predictable?
I'm not sure if anyone that's run a company here in Ethiopia right now would say they're ahead.
Let me give you an example. For example,
okay.
Remember when that rule of law passed, the excise tax?
Mm-hmm.
So it became a black market. Like there's no advertising allowed for.
But there's an ad ban and then there's
An ad
excise
ban.
tax. Those
Yes.
are two different ones.
Okay,
So
maybe they happened in two different times.
Yep.
But just an example. So that just happened, like,
So in things like the ad ban, we actually did anticipate that. So we knew when I was at Arada, we knew that was going to happen.
Okay.
The thing about that I don't mind is regulations like that are what I would call a market leveler. So it means as an alcohol producer, I can't advertise on TV or radio or have billboards anymore, but Heineken also can't.
Yeah,
and Awash can't. Yeah. So everyone's impacted by it. So, okay. And also, we saved a lot of money in advertising.
Okay.
Because there was a lot of, money going into things like that. A lot of which, I'm not a huge fan of a lot of that kind of advertising anyway. So, but that's something that, yes, took time to adapt, but it hit everybody equally, right? And everybody equally in a way that didn't necessarily hurt their bottom line unless you were in, the industries, media that were doing that, which were getting like 80% of their revenue from beverage at the time. Mm-hmm. Things like the excise tax, everyone is impacted by them, but they're also tremendously, they can be tremendously disruptive to a business because when you have things like a change like that, companies that in Ethiopia may already, so a lot of companies that are asset heavy, so things like beverage or automotive, things like that, they look very rich because they're very asset heavy. But the reality is their margins can be extremely slim. So then you have a government hitting excise that may make that not a profitable industry to be in anymore for the owners of the business. So that's obviously something that's quite difficult. I know though that often when you're doing something that will impact those players, the government will consult with the businesses that are going to be impacted here. I think what's also difficult though in Ethiopia, which is true not just here but in many places, is that there's a lack of predictability also in things that may not entirely be within the government's control, right? So things like the impact of the devaluation and things like that, where it's difficult to control that. That I think brings everybody a little bit of insecurity. I think it's very difficult to operate in Ethiopia, especially for small businesses, because of the lack of predictability. I do think that it's potentially getting, as I said, a lot of us are hoping it will peak and then things will kind of even out again. But no, I think that does make it incredibly difficult for anybody to do business. Not me, not anyone, for anyone here.
Yeah.
And I don't have any answers for that. Let me know if someone gives you any.
Damn, I was gonna write notes.
Yeah, no, I don't think. I don't know anybody that would really.
Someone said just be persistent. I don't know.
People.
Yeah.
That's the thing. Ethiopians are incredibly persistent and incredibly tenacious in being able to survive kind of in this environment. Yeah. But is there kind of somebody that has some kind of secret advice that? No, I don't think so. But I will start asking. I hang out with a lot of people in business. And I will start asking them if any of them know. Yeah.
You have to text me
because I really.
We would like to know.
Yeah.
Would you like to know?
No, I would
like to know. Yeah.
I don't have a lot of advice on that one, but
yeah. So I want to ask you about women business owners here in Addis. What are some of the things that you've noticed while you're here in Addis of women entrepreneurs that you've seen and the challenges they face? also the advantages they have, and any experience that you have, anything that you observe. I really love to know. Yeah, because I think that's the future that we're heading towards. So
Yeah, no, I
yeah.
think from my perspective, first of all, there are, some really incredible female entrepreneurs here. I think, looking at kind of what a lot of people see as a problem, which is not kind of enough female founders or female CEOs, or kind of not enough finance maybe getting to them. I would say, first of all, access to finance is a problem for everyone in Ethiopia. I think there may be particular issues impacting women, but I think also a lot of those are likely tied to things like collateral, right? Which is the lending sector is quite dependent on here. But when you see, the women that are overcoming that, a lot of them have taken a time to, first of all, they're getting into businesses that they really, really understand deeply, which is, I think, also maybe the only gendered statement I would make, although maybe this is also because of kind of the disparity in the number of men and women entrepreneurs, is you see a lot more male entrepreneurs getting into things that they don't know. Whereas with female entrepreneurs, a lot of times they will actually understand quite well what they're getting into. I think that's changing a little bit, but so I would say that's one major difference. I think outside of that, I mean, you should get some nice female CEOs here, because they would be able to talk about their own experience, or Ethiopian female CEOs here, because I think they would speak to it better. But I find, the same characteristics that as an investor or as a fellow entrepreneur that I look for in a woman, I would look for in a man. So an ability to be a very, very strong, kind of think very strongly analytically about a sector, as I said, that often women know and have a lot of experience in, and I think that's an advantage they might bring. There are men that get into businesses that they know as well, but I find a lot more men getting into things that they don't know at all. But I think there's and a real desire to solve kind of the problem that they've taken on, and a lot of times they have a better understanding of not just kind of the technical skill set required to be running their company, but also the market that their company is serving. But what I would also say is the thing that actually I think would be an area of focus, and I know some people are focusing on it, would be also, I want to see more women CFOs. In all of my time in Ethiopia, I've known 2. I would want to see more women leading major financial institutions, leading big companies, whether they're manufacturing, services, etc. I think it's also within the sectors that really matter and impact other sectors. So things like finance, you will see potentially more resources going, not just to women, but to different kinds of ways of deploying loans and capital, when you have people with different backgrounds and different experiences in leadership, and women are part of that, right? So being able to really, as I said, banking, logistics, services, areas where you're also supporting other companies with what you do, either as a vendor, right? So if you're doing like consulting, like what I do now, or in lending, things like that, the more diversity you have, they're going to be able to access value from different parts of the population and think differently about it. So I would, maybe it is important to have a conversation about, why aren't more women becoming founders or CEOs? But that also is a personal choice. And as I said, I don't think everyone should be a founder or a CEO. Not because there's anything particularly special about being it. As I said, a CEO just means you're willing to take insane risk. But because there should be women that are allowed to pursue whatever career path they want, including being a mom, or being a teacher, or being something that might not be as sexy as some of the other things. I think that one thing that amazes me as I'm working in healthcare now is the number of female doctors I'm meeting and male nurses. I had no idea. It's very exciting. Anyway, so I think women should be able to be on whatever career path they want, but sort of saying everyone has to be one thing. I don't think a lot of men should be entrepreneurs either, right? But that also doesn't mean that they are doing anything any less valuable. as I said, entrepreneur just means you're willing to take more risks than other people, and hopefully be able to manage that risk by thinking kind of strategically about it. But in general, I see people that are working for banks or in government that also are doing that are operating at that level of analytical capacity. So, for that and for what could be done to support it, I think there's a lot of ways to do that. But I don't hear a lot of Ethiopian women, that are necessarily kind of complaining about it. A lot of the ones that I know just want to get on with it, right? Do they want a better workplace? Yes. But it also, in terms of their grit, is not stopping them.
Okay. So the issues exist. It's just they decided that they were just going.
They keep going.
Ways. Yeah.
Yes.
Which actually brings me back to my second question. Do you think there are like unspoken rules that women just follow for the sake of just being and wanting to exist in the sector they're in?
Yes, probably.
Let's unpack.
I think equally important in kind of any society is the unspoken rules that exist around class, around role, around age. So I think it's funny when you work with kind of Kenyans that come to Ethiopia, they always are talking about how quiet Ethiopians are. First of all, Ethiopians are not that quiet if you get to know them, but this tends to be a place where there's a lot more kind of, it's a bit more deferential than for example, Kenya. And there's a lot of kind of unspoken ways that people manage other people or interact, which are going to have a fairly high impact in the workforce as well. I think for women in particular, maybe not speaking up as much, but I don't like I've had female staff that were very loud, female staff that were very quiet, male staff that were very loud, and male staff that were very quiet here. And what impacted how loud they were had nothing to do with gender. It had to do with kind of where they, the kids from Addis were always louder than the rural kids in the beginning at Awash, if you remember. You had some rural kids in your class. They get louder over time. But also, if you're a very low level person in a company or in any kind of bureaucracy here, it's not that common here to listen to that person. And that doesn't matter if they're a man or a woman. Right? So there's a lot of things that I would say are equally important. I don't know. I don't know how anyone would quantify that, but I also think there's things that impact everyone, right? So a lot of, for me on inclusive finance, yes, I do think women should be more included. I also think that it's not, rural men don't have great access to finance either, right? I think when you look at these kind of problems, I try and look at it from a more systematic perspective than one that might be just looking at one part of the problem, one part of it. So gender is one that's used a lot. There are people that know a lot more about it than I do. But I think when you're addressing these problems, and a lot of people in gender know this as well, you want to be trying to address kind of a broader system that might bring that about, that isn't just causing issues for one particular gender, but also can improve the overall system, right? So if people at lower levels in a perceived hierarchy in a company or in a project are able to give feedback more effectively, and I can say this with confidence because I've seen it happen. It's why I had all the intern classes that I did. If they give feedback, it gets better. The outcomes get better. The ideas get better. The original idea for Awash Takeshino was from my driver at Kamari, or not, sorry, at Kamari, at Awash, right? So, and that was the idea that, bumped our revenue by 4 million liters. And, so listening and understanding that you can get value from that, and there's contributions on both sides, which I also realize contradicts my thing about you're learning at that age. But if you're building a system, you want to create more ways for anyone to be able to give feedback, regardless of age or gender or, where you're from. And that improves overall outcomes in a society. I mean, we can debate on whether or not people think Takeshino contributes to society, but we had a lot of fun with it. It was a great revenue driver for us.
Job creation as well.
Job creation, exactly, a lot of that. So if you look at kind of one piece, sometimes you can miss how changing things for everyone, including at the top, right? Including having people that are in positions of authority actively listening and also not being threatened when they are being asked to take other people's opinions into account. I think that can improve outcomes for everyone.
Yeah. I think the reason why I asked is I think through time I've seen myself learning and encouraging myself to take up space more. So that's why I asked. So how can we make sure as a woman entrepreneur, or as you say it, as a human entrepreneur? But I think for me, I want to focus on women. How do we make sure, even I'm speaking from the culture perspective, not everyone is outspoken. So if you have an interest on running a business, or you're already running a business and it's going very well, but you want to take it to the next level or to the growth stage or scale stage, there are certain characters that you need to have. So for you, as an experience from what you've seen as well, what are the things that a founder or an entrepreneur can do in order to take themselves on that stage or on that journey? So how do we take up more space?
I think sort of regardless of gender, this isn't really a society where taking up space is celebrated for anyone, right?
You don't think it's no?
I mean, when I would compare it to other places that I've been, this is and there are definitely positives and negatives to more sort of assertive societies and ones that are less assertive. But I don't know if even sort of the best male business people I know are not people that would typically that are taking up a lot of space. Right? They're excellent negotiators, and they are very, very good at building very strong relationships that are often give and take for many, many years, and that's how they're succeeding in business. But it's not necessarily by kind of forcing anything on other people or by necessarily being louder. But I think maybe women are quieter, and I think in certain spaces there may be a gender dynamic, but in general, and this also isn't a place where it's necessarily safe because you do get punished.
True.
So there is, I have friends here who are both female and male entrepreneurs who have, for example, spoken up within organizations about things that they thought were being done, that could be done better or that would be being done wrong, or that have kind of very, very assertively established themselves professionally, and they lose opportunities for it because people don't like them. So if you're trying to take up space, and this is not just Ethiopia, this is anywhere, you have to stop worrying about whether or not people like you, but that doesn't mean it's a certain kind of person, right? It's very important anywhere to have strong relationships and a strong reputation, and build trust with people so that you can move forward. Those people, you want to make sure you have a very good dynamic with, whether it's taking up space with them or not. But that you can be punished for that, and you lose opportunities sometimes because you've given feedback to people that they don't want to hear.
Yeah.
And I think Ethiopia is not really a big feedback culture.
Yeah.
I would say a lot of societies are like that as well, but in particular, also because it's not done a lot. Like people don't give a lot of feedback here. So often, feedback that isn't actually meant to be aggressive is perceived as aggressive because all feedback is kind of seen or can be seen as aggressive, particularly with older generations. But I would say that's also true in other places that I've worked. So it's less about taking up space and more about figuring out who do I need to have that I also add value to. Where taking up space isn't taking up space, it's just communicating, right? Or building a relationship. And then not only who am I willing to let go of by taking the position that I'm taking, right? Who am I willing to not be friends with or not, keep the peace with? And that's very difficult to do here.
True.
Because no one wants to. But also I see, in younger generations of entrepreneurs. So I would say below 40. That's probably not young to you, is it? Anyway, you are seeing that change. You are seeing people that are a lot more willing to take feedback. You also see in the context of the strength of your relationship, I know some entrepreneurs that would typically not be someone you would see as taking feedback easily, but once they trust you and they value your opinion, they'll ask for it. Actually quite shocked by a few of them. Not by what they asked, by the way, they're perfectly fine, but like by them asking for feedback. So I think that culture is also shifting. I think you're seeing younger generations that are more willing to listen to people regardless of gender. And, for me, I've spent a lot of time in Ethiopia trying to build relationships with Ethiopians, men and women that I deeply respect, that I go to for advice, that help me with companies, that I try and help with companies. And that's not a gender thing at the end of the day. That's how much you respect each other, how much you listen to each other. And this ranges, from people that are 23 to 60, right? And that's also where you get the richness of your professional network, is having a range of different people that you talk to, that you've helped out, and that you respect. And so when you're thinking about taking up space, it's also, why am I taking up space? Am I saying something that's worth saying? And it probably is, it depends on the context as well. TikTok, you can kind of do whatever you want. And also, am I taking up space? But while I'm taking up space, how can I listen to the person I'm talking to, right? What do they have to contribute to this conversation? Yeah, and I think sometimes people can get frustrated when people have a different opinion from them. But if you have a really respectful relationship, or one that's built on kind of trust and things you've done together that where you've helped each other, you want a different perspective, or you want, you don't have to agree with people on everything that's happening. And I think especially, I think some ways, because I do work with a lot of younger people, you have a better kind of understanding of what feedback is, a desire also to have women heard, etc. But then a little bit of resistance when that feedback actually starts coming, and a little bit of resistance to trying to contextualize things more broadly in terms of, okay, is this guy a misogynist because he made this one comment? Maybe he is, by the way, I'm not judging any situation, but also I think as you get older, you start to understand people very often, or very rarely, want to actually hurt you. It's very, very rare. Often people are coming from their own stuff, in their own head. What's happened to them today? One of my favorites was, in a ride, sometimes you get great ride drivers. I had a lovely one on the way here. He used the map. It was awesome. And sometimes
that
you get
really happens.
they're in a bad mood. And one of my staff said to me one day, well, maybe he just had a fight with his wife this morning. Right? You don't know what anybody else is going through. And I think also as you age, you learn to kind of be a bit gentler about that, and also to try to listen to each other more as you take up space, right? Not all the time. I mean, there are actually people out there that do want to hurt you, and there are people that don't want to listen to you out there that exists. But I think a little bit less so than some people think. I think if you really engage with people, you're often surprised by how much they're willing to hear you out.
Okay. So maybe another follow-up question. To be specific, what are the 3 skills from what we discussed that whoever is listening today can work on to better speak up? Not only just speaking up in a sense of the things that they want to say or talk about. What are the 3 skills that they can work on as we speak right now? Or even rate themselves according to the skills that
I have no idea how you would come up with a rating for that. Your generation likes to rate stuff too much.
But it's good. Let me explain why I'm asking. And I'm learning this as I go along, right? So, we pitch a lot. And most of the time when you pitch, you prepare multiple types of pitches for different types of investors. It could be an investor or a partner or a stakeholder that you're proposing a project to. But I've learned...
How much time do you spend researching them?
That's the thing. You learn also that you have to craft a different... I'm
not talking about crafting your pitch. How much do you learn about them?
Usually...
Look up from your navel. Okay. Yes, there's a
But
lot.
you know what
yeah.
I mean. So that's the thing. Even researching about them, asking people that know them about them, knowing what their purpose vision is, so that it can align to what you're proposing and stuff like that. Those are the things I learned along the way. Of course, it's something that everyone can also. It's something that everybody else might know, but others that don't know too. Because I also receive a lot of proposals, and I see that the same proposals will be sent to the multiple companies as well. So this is just an example. But what are the skills that you think any entrepreneur needs
For
to have?
pitching?
Not pitching. No,
Okay.
pitching is just
'Cause
an
that's
example.
a whole different thing.
No,
I
just
also
as
think it's
to
not-
speaking up and taking
Okay,
space up.
that makes more sense because pitching is a very separate thing. I
Yeah,
think there's
it
this
is.
idea of the Shark Tank pitch. Very little money is raised through that kind of pitch.
Yeah, in Ethiopia or like everywhere?
Everywhere.
Do we have that
the
here?
biggest the biggest things? Oh yeah, all of these guys are doing all this pitching all the time. Right?
Really?
I'm on juries all the time for this stuff.
Oh, the ones that are like
All of the
I get what you mean.
startup,
the
you know,
incubation
8-minute,
startups.
3-minute, etc. There's very rarely any actual investors in the room, but anyway.
We will talk about that. So,
Is the people that sort of, as you learn how to make real money and generate real value, the pitch is in the credibility in the relationship, who introduced you, and how well you solve their problem. That's
pretty
it,
much
right?
it,
I'm pitching a company now with 2 slides.
I hope I get there.
And a lot of it though is I really understand exactly who I'm pitching, who I need to engage in the project.
But do you get that? That's what I'm asking. Maybe in previous times, maybe you did 10 slides or 12 slides.
I mean, it also depends on what you are trying to communicate, right? So I think one, in terms of advice, I would say one is, so if, and this might be controversial. I don't know if I'm going to anger a lot of people. I think a lot of us, you know, we communicate all the time. I think especially when we're communicating spontaneously, we don't always say exactly what we want to say perfectly the first time. We also are in our own heads. We're having our own emotions. We're reacting to the world around us. So thinking that everything that you have said is perfect and that you have communicated 100% effectively is very rarely true.
Yeah.
Right? And that's also fine, because what you learn as you get older is that you can apologize for things. And you can say, oh, actually what I meant is this, instead of, trying to fight with the fact that you may have put something that you thought was a truth in the world, and then you realize there might be more nuance to it, right?
Yeah.
So to that end, if you're going to have a conversation, whether it's an important conversation with your boss or with a founder or with your partner or with an investor or with a vendor or with your fikrenya, plan it.
Okay.
Right? Plan it, practice it. It sounds silly to like record yourself, with the conversation you want to have, I don't know, with your fikrenya that night because you're mad at him. But the other thing the practice does, first of all, is you start to realize in your own communications where you might want to change your mind. And it's easier to do it when there's no audience, right? Because you can change your mind to yourself and no one knows you've done it. But what it also lets you do is stop having those points in your head as firmly when you're trying to communicate with someone else, right? So we all know this, right? When we're really mad and someone's talking and we just want to make our point, and so we're not listening at all to them.
Yeah.
Or any high emotion situation. It doesn't have to be mad. It can be stressed, whatever. So if you plan it, it's going to get a little bit easier for you to hear it, right? Also, having conversations when you have a high emotional level, whether it's excitement or anger or whatever, probably not the best time to try and have high stakes conversations.
Yeah. Because
your emotions are going to get in the way maybe a little bit of your ability to communicate. Excitement's fine, right? We're allowed to be excited with our friends. And complaining at the bar with our friends is also fine. But communications that can actually maybe change relationships that you're having, right? The other thing I would say is if you want to take up space, learn how to be a great listener.
Okay.
Right? Because people will let you into their space. Because when you say take up space, right, what you're actually saying is you're taking up someone else's space. Right? Who cares if you're taking up space and no one else is there? Then you can take up as much space as you want. So what you're actually doing is you're trying to get someone to give you some of their time, some of their emotional energy, some of their own thought. right?
Yeah.
Generally, that's what you're trying to do when you communicate.
Mm.
So the easiest way to get someone to give you some of their space is to give some of yours. Right?
Yeah.
So if you're willing to also listen to someone and engage with them, they're going to be far more likely to think about what you're saying, to potentially take on new information, maybe even to change their mind. But also, they're going to see you as someone more engaging because you're listening. No one wants someone that just talks about themselves all the time, right? No matter what they're saying, like they say the most amazing stuff. But then you should be a podcaster and not someone with actual human relationships. I feel so weird on these things because I just want to start asking you questions back.
Then ask, it's fine.
But no, it's a sort of a weird format for people that are actually trying to be conversationalists. So, but the more space you give, and you don't have to give all of it, but why would you think that you can take someone's space without giving some of your own? Mm-hmm. Right? That's just becoming part of the problem that you're trying to solve. I prefer shared space.
Shared space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because that's also where communications happens. Otherwise, you're just yelling at each other. That's not helpful.
Yeah.
It can be fun to watch, but it's not helpful.
not when you're the one being taken advantage. Yeah. No, I'm asking because, majority of the time, and this is something that actually happened in my experience as well. You walk into rooms and you see someone cutting you off or someone speaking over you or even not being able to be given chance to share what you have, even though you're the one, I don't know, maybe leading the project or you're the one initiating the meeting as well. So when I say take up space, not in a sense of that takes advantage of others as well, because then you're no different, you're the same. I'm just saying, how can you be more? I think speak up would be also a great term as well. But how do you make sure that whatever you want to say and whatever you want to communicate, you say it with?
Also, if you have someone that is, so you see, especially what I'm seeing more and more is at events, more and more women that will come up and introduce themselves. And also actually
simple tips
young
like
men.
that, but
and if you have someone that is actively cutting you off, then you could probably be in the wrong room.
Yeah.
And no matter how you change your behavior, that's probably more of a problem with them than with you.
Yeah.
So how we change the way people interact in those rooms, I think, is a far bigger issue and not necessarily one that you and I are ever going to solve.
Yeah.
But if you're in a conversation where people are kind of cutting you off or ignoring what you're saying, then you're probably in the wrong space.
Yeah. So find a space that's values you.
There could be some situations where you could call people out on it, but I wouldn't want to give that advice because it would be extremely contextual.
Yeah.
Whether or not to try and engage in a way that kind of calls out that behavior. I don't.
Have you ever faced that like in any negotiation? Because I'm pretty sure you had multiple board meetings.
It was very funny in the early days of Awash. There was some guys that were involved on the investment side that thought I was the CEO's secretary, which I thought was great because
like that,
I thought it was great because they could afford like a foreign secretary, so I always thought that was kind of funny. But I wouldn't necessarily say I solved that problem. I would say I just kept doing my job. It was never, and then obviously it sort of changed once you did eventually learn that. I don't.
So you just let it slide and then continued with what you started
doing. I wasn't there to be in board meetings. I was there to increase the revenue of Awash, and that's what I did, right?
Yeah.
So, and then also, there's you have a choice to stop engaging with people that aren't allowing you to be part of the conversation. And I've stopped entire companies and left them because of that.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to talk more about that? As a lesson?
It's something. If you are in a situation where you are not being kind of heard or not being listened to, etc., and it is something that is, it's never been everyone in a company. It's usually only one or two people, then maybe you shouldn't be there. Maybe it's time to go.
Really?
Because it's highly unlikely that they are going to change.
Yeah. They're not going to change.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But how do you walk away from something you literally built?
Usually very joyously.
Yeah.
And I've also walked away from employers for that as well, right? So, but I think when you're younger, you think you can kind of win it, right? You think you can convince them. You think you can. There's a lot of different things you can do.
Mm-hmm.
Nope.
What if leaving is not an option? And it's perfectly fine.
Why
yes,
would
of
leaving
course.
not be an option? I guess maybe if you're like locked in as a CEO to like a.
I mean, there are contracts and there are deals that you eventually
Okay.
be responsible
Very
for
often
and accountable for.
Yes. I mean,
and also the attachment as well, like when you create something.
So if you're in an environment where you're not being listened to and you are, as I said, regardless, of if it's an employer or if it's a partnership or, anything like that, often, no matter how much you care, you're not going to change anything anyway. So you're just going to end up being increasingly frustrated and disheartened. So I would say it would be quite rare for you not to be able to leave it all, right? I think there are very few kind of founders that are locked into something where, they couldn't leave contractually. I obviously could be wrong. But I would say if there's something that I have learned in the last 20 years, it's that very often people are not going to change. Mm-hmm. And so, there can be 50 good people in a company and one bad one. And if that bad one, is really able to influence everyone else, sometimes it can be your boss, it can be whoever, that's not going to change. Mm. So it's up to you to find a different place then, because the world is not going to change for you.
True. So find a space that embraces you in a way.
Yes, I mean embrace is a little bit Gen Z, but find a place where you can engage in conversations about a shared vision for something, right? Yeah. It's not about being 100% right.
Yeah.
It's about being able to have conversations with each other respectfully where you're heard, where you can move forward in the direction that you're going. Yeah. Right? And as I said, this is every situation that, if you are the founder of the company, if you are an employee in the company, if you're in kind of a partnership with, whatever, any of those situations, and I've been in any of them. I've been in many of them where I've stayed too long, and I've been in a lot of them where, as I get older, I realize can't change it.
Can't change it. Yeah.
And I had in a very long time ago in Rwanda, I had a very good female. She's actually one of the few female bosses I ever had. Quite an amazing woman. She's actually doing great work in Bangladesh with the World Bank today. Mm-hmm. And she was one of the ones that really taught me that you can't, if you're in an environment like that, you need to choose to be in a different environment. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you can fight it, right? In different organizations, if there's, if you're the person driving you crazy is here and there's a boss, blah, blah, blah. So we don't need to go into the craziness of what, office kind of relationships can be. But in general, if you're in a situation and you've tried to do everything you can, etc., and it started to stop the value that you feel you can bring, it's time to go.
Yeah, I mean
and that may be a lot of rooms.
You're telling me
that you may be exiting a lot of rooms.
Yeah. Okay. And you coped after that very well. Like you've created spaces that. I've seen that.
But I've been like joining and leaving companies since I was like 25. So.
Yeah. Okay. So maybe the earlier the better, I guess.
I think getting used to understanding, and also a lot of you can start a company with someone, and then have the visions change, and it doesn't necessarily mean that you hate each other or that the other person is terrible. It just means that you want different things. Figuring out how to deal with that, in ways that are effective, can be equally challenging to someone that your boss that drives you crazy, right? So it's all about trying to figure out where you can come together and generate value or do something with a shared vision, and then maybe sometimes you can't, and that's also fine. I think in terms of Ethiopia, I would rather see more founders working together than less. You've got a lot of solo guys running around.
Yes.
And
do you want to talk about that as well? Because we have a lot of solo founders,
Uh-huh.
and maybe a team of 3 that I've seen. Maybe the maximum I've seen 3 or 5. The rest are employees. The
Employees is fine.
Yeah, the
By the
maximum
way,
I've seen
5
is,
founders is you're already getting to be.
I think 3 founders is the maximum I've seen. The majority are solo as well. So
And
yeah.
also solo. I mean, it's, the equity, the risk that a company is taking in terms of like investors and equity does not necessarily mean that. Basically, what I'm trying to say is you can have a fantastic senior team that may or may not have equity that cares about the company almost as much as you do, right? So it's less about kind of founder and owner as people that can work together effectively with others, right? There are a lot of solos here, and there are not many. There are some that are very successful as solos, but when I say solo, I mean alone without staff, right? Because you can have a solo founder that has a team, and if they respect and get along with their team, and I know a lot of kind of your older CEOs and entrepreneurs that have this, where they have incredibly respected teams that they work with really well, even though they might not actually have ownership. But someone alone or with 1 or 2 people or alone trying to outsource things, generally it also shows that you may have a lot to learn about how to actually interact with large complex systems. Because human resource management, managing teams is a large complex system. Then again, everyone's going to say like the one person that's wildly successful. Who's the kid that I just raised like 5 million from Y Combinator?
Barakat?
Yeah.
Better odd.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, fine. Exception.
Yeah.
Yes, that does exist.
He is an exception. Yeah.
Yeah, nothing is set in stone, except
Yeah.
when a relationship is super poisonous with a company, you should leave. Anyway,
Yeah.
that one I would stick by. So because also when you learn how to work together, you're building skill sets that will give investors confidence in you, and it will give confidence in yourself to build future companies, even if these don't work.
Yeah.
You also have a lot of solos going after the same market with a very similar product. They'll all say they're not similar. It depends. Some of them I actually know they're similar, some I don't. When it would be far more powerful for them to come together.
Yeah.
Because you're taking a market that would require, say, to really effectively do something in ag tech, for example, huge millions of dollars in investment for that. No one's going to give millions of dollars to the 15 teeny ag tech companies wandering around.
Yeah.
So if you can get people to start working together, it also will add value to you. That's why people work together, right? Is because they'll add value. And I think if you can find founders that really see the value in each other and are able to work effectively together, and it wouldn't have to be 100% JV. It could be partnerships. It could be, you guys expand in Oromo and we'll do Amhara, or something like that.
Yeah.
That to me, I would invest right there because I've never seen it before.
Yeah.
I've never seen investors at the low level of founders, not low level, but early founders, let's call it, really seeing strategic partnership long term in that way, and understanding that if they want to take the market on, they need each other.
True.
And they need to be able to work together.
What is that one quote or mantra or belief you live by as a business owner?
Never give up. Except when people are mean to you, to connect.
Then you leave.
Yeah. But in general, also I think in any environment, but also often in Ethiopia, I think also because I don't come from here. When I came, I would expect things to take a certain amount of time, and then I would when problems happened, I would often see them as way bigger than they really were in the context of here. So I think never give up and always keep learning.
Okay. Can I ask like a follow-up question on this as well?
Yes.
Because
you're running the podcast.
Yeah. So for me, a lot of people say don't give up, and I want to make sure that we hit the right message. What is your advice? Because as a business owner, you also have to know when to quit if it's not working.
Oh yeah. Also, when I say don't give up, it doesn't mean don't give up on the one company.
Okay.
It means don't give up on yourself.
On yourself. Good.
Yeah, and don't give up on your vision, because also if you manage to hit it spot on and make millions off of your first company, first of all, you're extremely rare, and second of all, actually that's all I have. First, that's extremely rare. Not giving up means not giving up, and also being willing to say this isn't working, whether it's everyone's favorite word, pivoting, which is to kind of figure out something that will work with what you can offer the market and what the market will pay for better, or a whole new idea, right? So one of the most important things is to know when something is not working, right? So, what Melela is working on now, we have a lot of respect for a lot of people in kind of the consulting space and in the kind of broader thing. And we will keep part of that, right, as part of our practice. But for me, one of the things that I really love doing is founding companies. And I found great local partners in Ethiopia to work on those companies with. So, in the next couple of years, obviously not quickly, one of the things we're interested in doing is going back into the space as an operator as opposed to a consultant, right? And that's also because I personally don't enjoy consulting as much as a lot of my friends that love it and are great at it and do great things in it, right? I prefer to actually kind of look at building companies from the ground up. I have huge respect for people that try and save them when they're in trouble, which is what a lot of consultants do. But for me, it was realizing that's not me giving up. That's me realizing I would rather do this other thing, which is equally hard and has an equal number of challenges. They're just different ones, and they're ones that I happen to enjoy more, right? On the operator side.
Good answer. What do you want listeners, especially young women, to walk away with? From what
they're not walking, right? They're probably sitting.
Okay,
because they're like watching.
They might be sleeping as well. We
They
don't
could be
know.
sleeping.
I mean, we don't want them. Hopefully, hopefully you're not sleeping.
That's all right. I know a lot of people that like go to sleep to podcasts, man.
Yeah.
True crime isn't it a weird thing that a lot of women do?
It is a weird.
I know. It's.
Do whatever you want.
No, I mean it's the highlights, right?
Do you enjoy sleeping?
Like going to bed listening to podcasts?
Yeah.
Totes.
So you
crime.
actually listen to
usually
true
crime. If it's something like this, I would stay awake because if I'm listening to something like educational.
Yeah.
But some people might find me more entertaining than educational. In fact, probably a lot of people sometimes. Anyway.
Yeah.
This is me stalling because I have no idea what the advice would be. I think
just in general, in their journey of creating something. To simplify it for you, it doesn't have to be from this conversation, but in general, from your experience, if you're in the road of entrepreneurship.
I think if you're so if you want to be an entrepreneur, I think the first thing is not everyone has to want to be entrepreneurs, right? I actually kind of, I think in many ways I'd be a much better COO, and I've been a COO actually, than CEO. I'm able to take kind of risks in this market, which kind of makes me a CEO more often. But I think one of the things we need to kind of stop doing is putting CEOs on a kind of pedestal as kind of a be all and end all, right? But regardless of that, wherever you want to get in your career, if it's to be a CEO or a COO or a CFO or a manager or a mom or a teacher or whatever, if you want to do something that's going to mean that you need to have skill sets outside of your technical experience, right? So that could be project manager at an NGO. It could be anything. So if you want to go beyond kind of knowing software development or something, what you're going to need is to understand a little bit of a lot of different things, right? So if you want to run a successful company, you're going to need to understand a little bit about finance, a little bit about HR, a little bit about marketing and sales.
Yeah.
Not necessarily be an expert, but to know enough about it to be able to manage vendors or partners and to be able to ask the right questions of them. And it's also fun. Like the fun part of kind of growing something also is incorporating those functions into it, right?
Yeah.
And I think for any entrepreneur, not just women or not entrepreneur, well, you did ask about entrepreneurs, but so to start out there, no matter what you want to do, if you want to move into something that we'll call managerial, as I said, it could be in government, it could be NGO, it could be anywhere. It's to start trying to learn early about what the other parts of that business are doing, or that NGO, or that government agency, because that's how you're going to advance. Then for entrepreneurs in particular, it would be to really start understanding and really, really fall in love with your market.
Yeah.
Because if you're not curious about how people are doing the thing that you want to solve now or what people are doing in general, it is very, very unlikely you're ever going to solve it in a way that they'll pay you for. Right? So, I spent 4,000 hours in the market with Awash. Everywhere from Sarbet to, Shashamene, wherever. And I love it.
Yeah.
Right? I love getting to see how people do things, also so that I can, celebrate them, but also to figure out how I can make their lives better or how I could add value in a different way. And if you're not willing to see that and to listen to people and to look at and watch and try and learn, particularly as an entrepreneur, right? Because you're trying to really actively change things, you're not gonna make it. You're not gonna be able to do it because you don't know what the problem is to begin with.
Yeah. Noted. I'm gonna ask you like in a two different way. What is the best pitch you've heard, and also, what is the worst pitch you've heard? Like that you thought, oh, this is a waste of time.
So the thing about you mean actually like investment pitching?
Yeah.
What I look for, having been to a lot of these, is not necessarily one example or another, but what I look for in a pitch that, for example, I would consider investing in is, does this person have the credibility to be saying what they're saying? Okay. Do they come from, for example, a professional background that would give them particular insight? So, for me, it's not really pitching, but in terms of business partners, I'm working with Lifeline Addis. They're all doctors. They're running a home care. It makes sense that a doctor would understand how to run at least one aspect of that company. So what's the credibility of that person that's pitching? How well do they understand their market? Right? And the problem that they're solving. Then also a lot of the pitching that's done that I've seen in this country is they give the pitch and then there's a few kind of cursory questions, or the judges ask good questions, but the person has been so focused on the pitch that they don't know how to answer them.
Yeah.
The main thing, a pitch is just the start.
Yeah.
A pitch is like the Tinder photo. It's not even the swipe. It's literally just the photo.
Yeah.
How you respond to and answer the questions that people ask you is often more important than how well you did the pitch, because that also shows that you can engage with me as someone that you are asking for money or for time, etc. And a lot of people don't do that. They kind of like give up. They kind of float away after they've done the pitch. The pitch is the start potentially of a relationship. Yeah. So if you want to get someone to actually swipe right, you want to engage with them. Right? Although I guess on Tinder you have to chat after you've already swiped. So maybe the pitch is the swipe and then you chat. I haven't been on it for a really long time.
Yeah.
Anyway. Bad pitches.
Yeah.
They don't know their market. It's very obvious they don't know their market. They way underestimating competitors and overestimating market size. That's something I see a lot in Ethiopia. And also one thing I would say for teams that are bigger, and I've actually seen a couple teams do this, the CEO is not necessarily the best person to pitch. Sometimes the CEO is a nerd and they hate doing it.
Yeah.
Getting the best person in the company to pitch can really help, because it's a different skill. I don't think it's a skill that should be needed. I think investors should learn how to understand how good Ethiopian founders can communicate more effectively. I don't like the pitch model for here. I think it asks people to have a skill they don't need. But yeah, that's my kind of very long-winded advice.
Okay. I mean, we were talking about it previously, but I also want you to include your observations on, because I know you get invited a lot as a judge as well. I see you a lot in pitching sessions or demo days. So what is your experience like? In a very short.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think I kind of gave those are the more common ones. As I said, I don't for the investments that I'm looking at making in Ethiopia, they may be founders I met at one of those events, but as I said, that's just the beginning.
It is.
Right? So I'm deciding whether or not to ask someone out on the first date, right? And there are things also that I think a lot of founders don't really fully understand around foreign investment, because foreign investment right now is a bit tricky because of the currency. I think that will change. But I would also say, this would be standard in the West. I've never seen it here. Often the judges are known in advance. Sometimes they aren't, and so I can't blame people if it's not. But if they are, I've never seen anyone pitch that researched the judges.
Okay.
Because if you can say, oh, from your experience at X or da, which is normal in investment, by the way. Normally, you know a huge amount about the people you're trying to engage with, because that helps you communicate with them and makes them happy. But if you really also want to start building the skill set to successfully pitch as you move on in this investment game, know who you're pitching to.
Yeah.
Right? And
it actually helps a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. And it would be pro forma. And whenever I was pitching, I knew from the LinkedIn bio of the person to the company profile, I knew who that person was.
Yeah, true.
And people just don't do it here. I've never seen it.
I agree. Yeah. Noted.
Or if they're doing it, they're not using it in their pitch, and they're just, I don't know. Maybe they do, but I'm not seeing it.
Yeah, you're right. Maybe it's something to take notes on. Whoever runs these sessions can actually share the information of the judges ahead.
Oh, some do.
Yeah.
And some don't.
Yeah.
So.
Okay. I think that's it. Thank you so much for taking this time. I know you're a very busy woman, but thank you for making the time. And I always say this. I know you bet a lot on young people.
Uh-huh.
And I know you'll do it because it's so natural for you. But thank you so much again for coming here. Any last words?
It's not a bet. It's an investment.
Yeah. You invest, okay. Which is a good term as well. That's
and it pays
also
off.
You're taking a risk as well. So
I have business partners that were my interns. I have clients that were my interns.
Yeah. Shout out.
So yeah. So it's an investment. It's not a bet.
Yeah. Okay. That's amazing though. So thank you. Like any last words, because I don't want to close this with.
No.
Yeah.
That's great. Yep.
This is it.
Yep.
Thank you so much for making the time. As always, make sure you like, subscribe, and comment on this podcast. I hope you had an insightful
Are we supposed to be queuing
conversation anyways.
You guys didn't set up those. I'm going to
yeah. But please make sure you share this with your friends or any woman entrepreneur that you know who has plans to start anything. So peace out. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ciao, ciao.
No dances.
No dances, but any Amharic word would do.
Oh, amasaganalo. Betam.
But
Welcome.
good job in 12 years. Yeah. Wish everything
about coming. Time of day they're listening.
Yeah. Bye bye.